cut the debt. The other two quick reasons here.
Okay, real quickly, we've got to get the regulators out of our lives. They're killing job growth. They're killing small businessmen and women. So we need to rein in the EPA, the OSHA, and their war on business and become North American energy independent. It will create millions of good jobs. We have a diversified energy portfolio. Right now, exporting liquid natural gas is what we should be doing to Europe, so Putin can't hold a gun to their head with shutting off a pipeline. That's something we could do to create jobs, and also from the national defense aspects of being North American energy independent.
Number three,
a little bit about it.
And your third item.
Promise to our veterans, we're not keeping it. We're letting our veterans down. The Ryan budget was a disgrace. It kicked the can down the road, didn't get spending in order, and the savings you did see, they took it out of veterans, the 1% defending us. All right, Shane Osborne, real quick, I'm going to ask you some lightning round questions. I'm going to ask you to keep your response down to 2 or 3 words, 2 or 3 sentences, I should say. Okay. Your reaction to TARP or any other kind of government bailout? I fought it. I fought it then. I fought Dodd-Frank as a state treasurer. Very public.
All right, very good. Term limits for elected officials.
I think it's a great idea. We need to enact them.
What should they be for U.S. senators?
Well, I think the total time in Congress should be limited to 18 years total.
Do you have a response, an opinion on a flat or a fair tax?
I like the flat tax. I think we could actually get that passed. Over 70% of Americans want to see a simpler, fairer, flatter tax, and that would be a boom to the economy.
Where do you stand on a Second Amendment?
I'm a concealed carry weapon permit holder. My wife is. I'm a lifelong NRA member. I believe strongly in it.
Shane Osborne, I don't normally do this, but I believe you have what the U.S. Senate desperately needs in America today. You're someone who's both a grassroots conservative, as we pointed out, and you have a firsthand understanding and knowledge of what America's military role needs to be in the world. Because of that, Shane, I'm going to do what I've only done twice on this show. And I'm going to announce my endorsement for your candidacy right now here on the air. So,
well,
go ahead.
Thank you, Rick. That's an honor. It really means a lot to me. It's important. We need people that are going to put the country first serving Washington, D.C. I thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. For whatever it's worth, it may be a value, may not be value. We'll see. But what I'm impressed with is your passion, your commitment to fiscal conservatism, and we're watching before our eyes that the fact that the world is still a very dangerous place. We need men, we need women like you to lead us in the halls of Congress and the U.S. Senate. You have a couple of very prestigious endorsements currently. Phyllis Schlafly, the iconic Phyllis Schlafly, as well as a leading Washington, D.C. based women's conservative group. And, maybe this will help in some way, maybe not. We'll see.
Thank you. I'm honored to have you on my team, and, hey, I won't let you down.
All right. Shane Osborne, thank you for joining us from Omaha, Nebraska, and good luck with that campaign.
Thank you, sir. 56 days to go.
All right, Shane Osborne. March Madness hits Obamacare. But how much is this marketing costing you, and is it worth it? New numbers tell a story. That's next. Don't go anywhere. You're watching The Rick Amato Show on One American News. One of the great things about being a TV host for One American News is the access I have to top newsmakers and breaking stories around the globe. I don't take that lightly. It's a privilege. I try to ask the questions I believe our viewers at home would ask, questions the mainstream media hesitates to ask. No hidden agendas, no misinformation, just credible, honest, frank conversation right to your home.
Rick Amato brings his knowledge and experience about today's politics 5 days a week, only on One American News.
Tonight on the Daily Ledger, biting Russia with no teeth. So-called hard-hitting sanctions are being laughed at. How a weak White House is sparking international tumult. Also, echoes of Fast and Furious and the CIA spying on Congress case. Plus, the Republican plan to turn the very blue Golden State red. And America, say goodbye to the Internet. Tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern.
America is no longer an experiment. It is an accomplishment. Freedom works. You inherited it, and you dare not neglect it, but bequeath it. You are the sons and daughters of those Boston tea spillers. What you're feeling is the pure pedigree of freedom, a lineage of liberty, conceived in the Magna Carta, proclaimed in the Declaration of Independence, and guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution.
matter what you've heard, if you like your doctor or healthcare plan, you can keep it.
One of the most successful television sporting events each year in America is the NCAA basketball tournament, also known as March Madness. In what appears to be a desperate but expensive attempt to sell Obamacare, the White House is pouring resources into online videos featuring athletes and coaches giving their reasons for you and me to sign up for Obamacare. Will it work, I should say, and just how much does it cost the taxpayers? Joining me at this time is Patrice Lee of the Independent Women's Forum. Patrice, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So just how much is this costing the American taxpayer?
Well, the Obamacare's enrollment efforts has cost American taxpayers $684 million. So we're talking about over $500 million in taxpayer dollars going towards these silly ads that frankly are targeted at young people but really insult us and talk down to us.
Yeah, they are silly, and you choose the words insulting, talk down to us. It's my strong belief, Patrice, they are not going to work because no matter how much money or how long they air, because they are gimmicky. And people of all ages in America see through gimmicks. Your take.
Absolutely right. Young Americans, but especially young Americans, see and know a bad deal when they see it. And Obamacare is a bad deal for us. Speaking specifically about these ads, the administration tends to think of young people especially as, adult children. And so all of these ads, all of their campaigns, whether it's reaching out to celebrities or using these ho-surance and bro-surance ads that glorify young people as binge drinking and hookup-loving young people, it really insults our intelligence. And instead of presenting the facts about the costs for Obamacare as well as the privacy issues, they focus on all of the other quote-unquote benefits that really young Americans don't care about. What they care about is the fact that they'll be spending more money on health care when they're struggling to find a job and struggling to pay off their student loan debt.
All right, here's President Obama making a stunning admission recently.
But for the average person, many of folks who don't have health insurance initially, they're going to have to make some choices, and they might end up having to switch doctors in part because they're saving money.
Care to react to that, Miss Lee, I should say?
That's a nice way of the president kind of fixing up the fact that most people will, when you take Obamacare, you'll lose the preferred doctors and the preferred health providers that you would like to have. Obamacare requires, or Obamacare results in there being less access to doctors and less access to hospitals. And so if you liked your doctor before, you probably won't be able to keep it. The president is just putting a nice spin on it.
How, you say it results in less access to hospitals. How so?
Well, there are a lot of healthcare providers, hospitals, that are no longer are not going to accept Obamacare plans because it's frankly too expensive. And so they're making the choice, we're just not going to accept these plans. Now, for someone who has Obamacare, you may show up at the doctor or, God forbid, something happens to you and you think, well, I'm going to be covered. And then you find out that that the hospital that you've gone to, that the doctor that you've looked to for care is not able to take your insurance. And then you're going to be on the hook for whatever services they've already provided to you. That's going to be a huge wake-up call for a lot of Americans. And there are already Americans who are finding out that their Obamacare plans don't cover what they already thought that they would. There are young people who are finding out that they're actually paying more money for the same services that they had under their previous plans. Again, Obamacare is a bad deal.
At least Obamacare, in order to be successful, Patrice, needs at least 39% of those in the age 18 to 35 age group to be enrolled in order for this thing to work. Currently, it's at only 25% in an age group have signed up. How much more success should we expect to see, in your opinion, in terms of that age group enrolling in Obamacare?
I don't think you're going to see that many more young people signing up. While the numbers may increase, the actual percentage, which is really important, probably will not change. To go from 25 to about 40%, that's a huge number of young Americans who'd want to sign up. And the fact is, it's not that we are delaying signing up. It's not that, we are doing other things. It's that we recognize it's too expensive for us. The administration just released their numbers yesterday that they've hit 5 million signups, and I'm using signups very carefully because I don't think those are all enrollments. But what they're not saying is how many young people have signed up, and it's probably because, again, they're not getting young people in there. And for the system to work, they need young, healthy Americans to pay or offset the cost of older, sicker Americans. In the short term, what you're going to see is you're going to see higher costs. Kathleen Sebelius has already said that she expects premiums to rise next year. And then in the longer term, you're going to have an unsustainable system. So, you know what? Young people recognize that it's a bad deal and they're choosing to opt out.
All right, Patrice, you took me where I was going. You just predicted an unsustainable system is what we're looking at in the future. What does that mean in terms of real-life terms, and what is the future of the health care, of Obamacare in America, given that your prediction is that it is unsustainable?
Well, in real terms, you're going to see premiums rising across the board for people who have Obamacare and potentially for people who don't, who have regular plans. What you're also going to see is for taxpayers, the government is going to have to do something to be able to subsidize, to try to lure more people into the Obamacare system. And that means more government subsidies. And what are government subsidies? Nothing more than taxpayer dollars. In the longer term, when you talk about an unsustainable system, you're talking about a system that, as I mentioned, relies on young, healthy Americans to pay for older, sicker Americans. So as they use as older Americans or sicker Americans use the system, the Obamacare system more, that's going to drive up the cost of providing health care in this country. And the system will eventually break down. I'm sure there are economists out there who can really lay out exactly what that's going to look like, but frankly, I'm scared to think about it.
All right, Patrice Hill, it's not the most uplifting, positive news, but it is important information. We thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me again.
All right. Unemployment rate for young military veterans in America is in the double digits, but there is one man doing his best